The fancy restaurant buzzed with conversation as I smoothed my new dress nervously. Only 2 months into my first real job, and here I was sitting next to Jacob Helsing, the CEO of our tech sales company. My boss Samuel had rented this 5-star place to impress him, and honestly, it was working. Crystal glasses clinked around our table while waiters glided past with expensive-looking plates. "Dorothy Miller," Jacob said warmly, extending his hand. "The fresh graduate who landed the $1.2 million TechWise deal in her first month. I've heard incredible things about you." My cheeks burned with pride. After moving to this new city with nothing but college debt and big dreams, that sale had changed everything. The $60,000 commission was the most money I'd ever seen in my life. "Thank you, sir. I'm just grateful for the opportunity," I replied, trying to sound professional. Jacob smiled. "Modest, too. I like that. Tell me, did the bonus help with settling into the city? Maybe getting a better apartment?" My fork froze halfway to my mouth. "What bonus? You mean my commission?" "Not your commission," he clarified, looking confused. "The extra 5% bonus I specifically asked Samuel to pay you. We believe in rewarding exceptional talent." I glanced sideways at my boss Samuel, whose face had gone pale. "Oh, yes, absolutely," I lied, my mind racing. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. Samuel quickly jumped into the conversation, steering it away from bonuses and towards company projections. Every time I tried to speak, he'd interrupt with some urgent business topic. I smiled and nodded, but inside my thoughts were spinning. An extra 5% bonus? That would be another $60,000. $60,000 that apparently belonged to me, sitting somewhere in limbo. I watched Samuel butter his bread roll with shaky hands, avoiding my eyes completely. "Dorothy has such a bright future ahead," Jacob continued, patting my shoulder. "If she keeps this trajectory, I'd steal her away from you, Samuel," he said as he turned to my boss. "She could be our youngest salesperson at headquarters." "Absolutely," Samuel agreed quickly. "She's very promising." As the evening wound down, Jacob stood to leave. "Keep up the excellent work, Dorothy. I expect big things from you." He shook my hand firmly, then turned to Samuel. "Make sure she has everything she needs to succeed." "Of course, sir. Always." My boss, Samuel, replied. The moment Jacob's car pulled away, I turned to Samuel, but he was already walking to his Mercedes, calling over his shoulder, "Great dinner. See you Monday." I stood alone under the restaurant's bright lights, my mind reeling. Where was my bonus? That night, I called my mom. We'd always been close, more like best friends than mother and daughter. She was the only person who knew how scared I'd been about this move, how desperately I needed this job to work out. "Mom, something weird happened tonight," I said, pacing around my tiny apartment. "Tell me everything, honey." I explained the whole dinner conversation. Jacob's confusion about the bonus, Samuel's nervous behavior. Mom listened quietly, occasionally making small concerned sounds. "So let me get this straight," she said finally. "The CEO thinks you got paid an extra $60,000 that you never received?" "Exactly." And Samuel looked like he'd seen a ghost when Jacob mentioned it. Mom was quiet for a long moment. "Dorothy, you need to be very careful here, but you also need to get what's rightfully yours. Don't let anyone steal from you, especially not your own boss." "But what if I'm wrong? What if there's some misunderstanding?" "Then asking questions won't hurt." "But if you're right..." She paused. "If you're right, then Samuel has been stealing from you, and that's not okay, no matter how much you need this job." I stared out my window at the city lights, feeling overwhelmed. What should I do? Talk to him Monday. Be direct but professional. And honey, don't let him intimidate you. Monday morning arrived gray and drizzly. I'd barely slept, rehearsing what I'd say to Samuel 100 times. My stomach churned as I walked into our sleek office building, past the marble lobby and up to the 15th floor. Samuel's corner office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Usually I loved the view. Today it made me dizzy. I knocked on his doorframe. "Come in, Dorothy. How was your weekend?" "Good, thanks. Samuel, I need to ask you about something from Friday night." His hand stilled over his keyboard. "Oh? What about?" "The bonus Jacob mentioned. The extra 5% he said he asked you to pay me." Samuel blinked slowly, then shook his head. "I'm not sure what you mean. Jacob mentioned a lot of things that night." My heart sank. He was going to make me say it. He specifically mentioned an extra 5% bonus for my first sale. He seemed surprised when I didn't know about it. Oh. Samuel's face brightened suddenly. That bonus? Yes, of course. We're still waiting for accounting to clear the paperwork. You know how these things are, lots of red tape with bonus payments. Relief flooded through me. Really? Oh gosh, I feel so stupid for bringing it up. Don't worry about it. These things take time. Should be sorted soon. I apologized profusely and headed back to my desk, feeling embarrassed. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe everything was fine after all. 3 weeks passed. I threw myself into work, determined to prove I deserved that first sale. My second month with the company was ending, and I was on the verge of closing another big deal. $600,000 with Morrison Industries. It wasn't as massive as my first sale, but it was solid. The day the deal closed, I did a little victory dance in the supply closet. Another $30,000 commission was heading my way. Combined with my salary, I was finally starting to feel financially stable for the first time in my adult life. When my commission payment hit my account that Friday, I checked my bank balance obsessively. The $30,000 was there, crisp and beautiful. But as I stared at the deposit, a familiar knot formed in my stomach. If accounting had cleared this month's commission so quickly, why was last month's bonus still tied up in red tape? It had been nearly a month since my conversation with Samuel. How long could paperwork possibly take? I tried to push the doubt away, but it gnawed at me all weekend. My mom noticed my mood when we talked on Sunday. You sound worried, honey. It's probably nothing, just the bonus still hasn't come through. A month later? That seems odd. I know, but I don't want to be that employee who's constantly asking about money. Dorothy, Mom's voice turned serious. There's a difference between being pushy and protecting yourself. Trust your instincts. Monday morning, I decided to be proactive. Instead of bothering Samuel again, I'd go straight to the source. I sent a polite email to Maria in accounting, asking about the status of my bonus payment. Her response came within an hour. Hi, Dorothy. According to my records, the $60,000 bonus payment was processed and sent to your department head on November 15th for final distribution. You should check with Samuel about the next steps. Let me know if you need anything else. I read the email 3 times, my hands trembling slightly. Processed and sent to Samuel. Over 2 weeks ago. This time, I didn't rehearse. I printed the email and marched straight to Samuel's office, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Samuel, I need to talk to you about my bonus. He looked up from his computer, irritation flashing across his face. Dorothy, we discussed this. It's still being processed. Actually, we need to discuss it again. I placed the printed email on his desk. According to accounting, the money was sent to you 2 weeks ago. Samuel's face went through several color changes as he read. Then he looked up at me with an expression I'd never seen before, cold and angry. Are you calling me a liar, Dorothy? I'm asking where my money is. You know what? You're being incredibly greedy right now. The word greedy hit me like a slap. Excuse me? Samuel stood up, his voice rising. Do you know how many people would kill to be in your position? A 24-year-old with 0 experience, pulling in commissions that some senior reps never see? And you're here demanding more money like you're entitled to it? I stood frozen, shocked by his sudden aggression. This wasn't the supportive boss who'd celebrated my first sale just 2 months ago. I could fire you right now, you know that? He continued. 1 phone call to HR, and all of this goes away. Your salary, your commission structure, your precious career. Gone. My throat felt tight. Samuel, I'm just asking about money that the CEO said belongs to me. The CEO says a lot of things. That doesn't mean you get to march into my office making demands. Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. I'm not making demands. I'm asking a question. Well, you've asked, and I've answered. The money will come when it comes. Stop being so impatient. I nodded quickly, mumbled an apology, and fled to the bathroom. Once safely locked in a stall, I let the tears come. My hands shook as I texted my mom, call me tonight. Something's really wrong. The rest of the day passed in a haze. I couldn't focus on my work, couldn't stop replaying Samuel's words. The way he'd looked at me, like I was an ungrateful child instead of an employee asking about earned compensation. That evening, my mom called while I was stress-eating takeout on my couch. Tell me exactly what happened, she said without preamble. I recounted the entire confrontation, including Samuel's threat to fire me. Mom listened in silence until I finished. Dorothy, listen to me very carefully. What he did today, that was intimidation. He's trying to scare you into backing down. Maybe he's right, though. Maybe I am being greedy. Honey, no. Asking for money you've earned isn't greedy. It's basic fairness. And threatening to fire you for asking questions? That's not normal boss behavior. I pulled my knees to my chest. But what if he does fire me? I just moved here. I have rent, student loans. I know you're scared. But here's what we're going to do. You're going to be smart about this. Don't confront him directly again. He's already shown he'll get aggressive. Instead, document everything and maybe reach out to accounting again. What do you mean? Ask Maria for more specific information. When exactly was the money sent to Samuel? What form did it take? The more details you have, the better protected you are. I felt a spark of determination. You're right. I can't just roll over and accept this. That's my girl. But Dorothy, be careful. If he's stealing from you, he's dangerous. The next morning, I crafted a careful email to Maria. Hi, thank you for your help yesterday. I'm still waiting to receive the bonus payment. Could you provide more details about when and how it was sent to Samuel? I want to make sure I follow up appropriately. Thanks. Maria's response was thorough and damning. Of course, the $60,000 was transferred to Samuel's discretionary account on November 15th at 2:47 p.m. It was categorized as Employee Bonus D. Miller. Samuel just needs to complete the final authorization to transfer it to your account. This usually takes 24 to 48 hours max. Hope this helps. I stared at my computer screen, my coffee growing cold. 24 to 48 hours maximum. It had been 16 days. There was no misunderstanding, no accounting delays, no red tape. Samuel had received my money over 2 weeks ago and simply kept it. I forwarded the email to my personal account, then saved screenshots of everything. My hands were steady now, my fear transforming into cold clarity. This wasn't a mistake or a delay. This was theft. The rest of the morning crawled by. I went through the motions of my work, answering emails and making follow-up calls, but my mind was elsewhere. During lunch, I called my mom from my car. He has my money, I said without preamble. You're sure? Completely sure. He's had it for over 2 weeks. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then it's time to get it back. That afternoon, I gathered my courage and knocked on Samuel's door one more time. I needed to give him a chance to make this right, for my own conscience if nothing else. Samuel, accounting confirmed that my bonus was sent to you on November 15th. That was over 2 weeks ago. I'd like to know when I can expect to receive it. His jaw tightened. Dorothy, I told you. You told me it was still being processed, but it was processed 2 weeks ago. It's sitting in your account right now. Samuel's face went red. You're out of line, completely out of line. I'm asking about my own money. Your money? He laughed harshly. You think this is your money? You work for me. Everything goes through me. And right now, I'm deciding that you're too much trouble to deal with. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means you're fired. Clean out your desk and get out. The words hit me like ice water. You can't fire me for asking about money I've earned. I can fire you for any reason I want. Insubordination, poor attitude, take your pick. He was already reaching for his phone. Security? I need someone to escort an employee out of the building. Fine, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. But I still want my $60,000 bonus, Samuel smirked. You'll get it at the end of the month with your final paycheck. Now get out of my office. Packing my desk felt surreal. 2 months of work, my nameplate, a small plant, some photos fit into a single cardboard box. My coworkers watched nervously as security escorted me to the elevator. I kept my head high, refusing to give Samuel the satisfaction of seeing me break down. In the parking garage, I sat in my car and called my mom. He fired me, I said, and then the tears finally came. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. He said I'll get the money at the end of the month. But Mom, this is only the beginning of December. That's almost a month away. What if he's lying? What if he never pays me? We'll figure it out. Come home for a few days. Clear your head. I can't. I have rent due next week, and now I don't have a job. I can't afford to leave town. Then we fight this properly. But first, you need to breathe. I I spent the evening on my couch, laptop open, frantically applying to every sales job I could find. But the responses were immediate and brutal. Looking for candidates with 3+ years experience. Seeking proven track record of consistent sales. Minimum $50,000 in career sales required. My 2 successful deals suddenly seemed pathetic compared to what the market demanded. Samuel had been right about one thing. I was lucky to have had that job. And now I'd thrown it away over money. By midnight, I'd sent out 47 applications and received 19 rejections. Days blurred together. I lived on instant noodles and spent every waking hour job hunting. The few interviews I managed to get went nowhere. Companies wanted experience I didn't have, track records I couldn't provide. After a particularly brutal rejection, "You seem bright, but we need someone who can hit the ground running," I called my mom in tears. "Maybe I should go back and apologize," I said. "Beg Samuel to give me my job back." "Absolutely not. Mom, I'm almost out of money. My rent is due in a week and I have maybe $200 in my account." "Dorothy, listen to me. If you go back now, you'll never get that bonus. He'll have complete power over you. You'll be trapped working for someone who steals from you. But I need a job, and you'll find one. But not by crawling back to a thief." That night, I saw a news article that changed everything. Jacob Helsing would be speaking at a local business seminar the following week. Innovation in B2B sales, adapting to the digital age. My heart raced. This was my chance to reach him directly, to tell him what really happened. But the tickets were expensive, $10,000 for front row seating, which included a meet and greet with the speakers. $10,000. Nearly all of my remaining savings. If this didn't work, I'd be completely broke. I stared at the registration page for an hour before clicking purchase. The day of the seminar, I put on my best suit and practiced my speech in the mirror. I had to look professional, confident, not like someone who'd been fired and was desperate. I had one shot to tell Jacob the truth. The venue was a gleaming conference center downtown. I checked in and received my front row seat assignment, my hands sweating as I clutched the program. Jacob's talk was scheduled for 2 p.m., with the meet and greet immediately after. I was reviewing my notes when someone tapped my shoulder. "Dorothy? Dorothy Miller?" I turned around and my blood ran cold. Samuel stood behind me, his face a mixture of shock and panic. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Attending a seminar." "What are you doing here?" I'm representing the company. Jacob asked me to come." His eyes darted to my front row seat. "Look, Dorothy, I'm glad I ran into you. I have good news." My stomach nodded. "What kind of good news?" "Your bonus came through. You don't have to wait until the end of the month. You can come to the office tomorrow and pick up the check." The timing was too convenient. "That's great," I said carefully. "Actually, you know what? Let me buy your ticket from you. I have a colleague who desperately wanted to attend, and these front row seats are impossible to get." "Thanks, but I'm planning to stay." Samuel's smile faltered. "I'll give you $15,000 for your ticket. Cash." My heart started racing. $15,000 for a $10,000 ticket. Why would you pay more than face value? "Because my colleague really wants to be here, and money's no object," Samuel said quickly. "Look, $20,000. Final offer. Combined with your $60,000 bonus, that's $80,000. You could really use that money right now, couldn't you?" The desperation in his voice was unmistakable. He knew exactly why I was here, and he was terrified. "Samuel, why are you so eager for me to leave?" "I'm not eager for anything. I'm just trying to help you out. By overpaying for my ticket? By giving you a great deal." His voice was getting louder, attracting stares from other attendees. "Dorothy, be smart here. Take the money and go." I stood up, meeting his eyes. "I'm not here for money, Samuel. I'm here for the truth." His face went pale. "What truth? What are you talking about?" "The truth about where my bonus really went. The truth about why you fired me when I asked questions. The truth about what kind of boss you really are." "You're making a mistake," he hissed. "A big mistake. Jacob won't believe you over me. I've been with this company for 8 years. You were there for 2 months. Then you should have nothing to worry about." Samuel stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked away quickly. I watched him disappear into the crowd, my hands shaking slightly. There was no turning back now. The seminar hall filled up around me. I sat in my front row seat, trying to calm my nerves. In 30 minutes, Jacob would take the stage. And shortly after that, I'd learn whether my gamble would pay off. Jacob's presentation was brilliant. Insights into digital transformation, customer psychology, the future of B2B sales. Under normal circumstances, I would have been completely absorbed. Instead, I kept glancing around the room, looking for Samuel. I spotted him near the back, talking intently into his phone. Our eyes met briefly, and he quickly looked away. My stomach churned with anxiety. When Jacob finished his presentation to thunderous applause, the moderator announced the Q&A session. We have time for a few questions from the audience. My hand shot up before I could second-guess myself. Yes, the young lady in the front row. Jacob squinted into the stage lights, then his face broke into a warm smile. Dorothy? Dorothy Miller? What a wonderful surprise. He gestured for me to stand. Everyone, this is one of our most promising young sales professionals. Dorothy, what's your question? The microphone felt heavy in my hand. The entire room was looking at me, hundreds of industry professionals, potential employers, colleagues, and somewhere in the back, Samuel was watching, probably praying I'd lose my nerve. Jacob, thank you for your presentation. My question is about ethical leadership and employee development. Excellent topic. Go ahead. I took a deep breath. This was it. What would you do if you discovered that a department head was stealing bonus payments from employees? Specifically, what if an employee had earned a $60,000 bonus that you had personally approved, but that money never reached them? The room went completely silent. Jacob's smile faltered as he processed my words. I could see the moment he understood what I was really asking. That's a very specific question, Dorothy. Yes, sir, it is. Are you saying this actually happened? My voice was steady despite my racing heart. I'm saying that you told me at dinner 6 weeks ago that I should have received an extra 5% bonus for my first sale. When I said I hadn't received it, you seemed surprised. I later confirmed with accounting that the $60,000 was sent to my department head on November 15th. When I asked about it, I was fired. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Jacob stepped closer to the edge of the stage, his expression growing serious. You're telling me this publicly because I had no other way to reach you, and because I believe you meant what you said about rewarding exceptional talent. Jacob was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the audience, then back at me. I think we should continue this conversation privately. Would you please wait for me backstage after the session? Yes, sir. As I sat down, I could hear whispered conversations breaking out around the room. I didn't dare turn around to look for Samuel's reaction. The moderator quickly moved to the next question, but the energy in the room had completely shifted. I'd done it. I'd told the truth in front of hundreds of witnesses. Whatever happened next, I'd stood up for myself. The rest of the Q&A session passed in a blur. I sat motionless in my seat, adrenaline coursing through my veins. When the session ended, Jacob caught my eye and nodded toward the side exit. Backstage was a small green room with bottles of water and fruit platters. Jacob arrived a few minutes after me, having been delayed by attendees wanting to speak with him. Dorothy, I need you to tell me everything. From the beginning. For the next hour, I laid out the entire timeline. The dinner conversation, my attempts to get information from Samuel, the threatening behavior, the firing. I showed him the emails from accounting, the documentation I'd saved, everything. Jacob listened without interruption, his expression growing darker by the minute. And you're absolutely certain about the accounting records? I can put you in touch with Maria directly. She has all the transaction details. Samuel told me you were fired for poaching leads from colleagues. He said you'd become difficult to work with after your initial success. That's not true, sir. I was fired specifically because I asked about the bonus. I have witnesses, Maria in accounting, other colleagues who saw what happened. Jacob rubbed his temples. This is extremely serious, Dorothy. If what you're saying is true, we're talking about embezzlement. I know. That's why I had to find a way to tell you. He stood and began pacing. I want you to know that I take this very seriously. I'm going to launch an immediate investigation. In the meantime, I want you to document everything you've told me in writing and send it to our legal department. Does this mean? It means you were right to speak up. And if Samuel did what you're alleging, he's going to face serious consequences. Jacob worked fast. Within 48 hours, I received a call from the company's head of internal audit. They wanted to meet with me immediately to go over my documentation. The meeting took place in a sterile conference room at the company's headquarters. 3 people sat across from me: the internal auditor, someone from HR, and a woman who introduced herself as the chief legal counsel. Miss Miller, we've begun a preliminary investigation into your allegations. We need to ask you some detailed questions. For 2 hours, they grilled me on every detail: times, dates, witnesses, documentation. They asked me to sign affidavits, authorize them to contact my witnesses, and provide access to all my email records. What happens now? I asked when we finished. Now we investigate thoroughly, the legal counsel said. We take these allegations very seriously. If we find evidence of financial impropriety, we'll take appropriate action. What about my bonus? If our investigation confirms your claims, you'll receive full compensation plus any additional damages we determine appropriate. I left the meeting feeling cautiously optimistic. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone was actually listening to me. That evening, my mom called. How did it go? I think they believe me. They're taking it seriously. I'm so proud of you, honey. It took real courage to speak up like that. I just hope it works out. I'm still unemployed and almost broke. It will work out. I have a good feeling about this. A week later, I got a call that changed everything. Miss Miller, this is Rebecca Chen from Internal Audit. Could you come in today? We have some results to share with you. My hands shook as I drove to the headquarters building. This was it. The moment I'd find out whether my gamble had paid off. Rebecca met me in the lobby and escorted me to the same conference room as before. This time, Jacob was there too, along with the legal team. Dorothy, please sit down. We have significant findings to share with you. Rebecca opened a thick folder. Our investigation uncovered extensive financial irregularities in Samuel's management of departmental funds. Your missing bonus was just the beginning. My heart pounded. What do you mean? Over the past 3 years, Samuel has systematically diverted bonus payments, expense reimbursements, and discretionary funds into personal accounts. We estimate the total theft at approximately $400,000. Jacob leaned forward. Dorothy, I owe you a profound apology. Not only should you have received your bonus, but your willingness to speak up exposed a much larger problem. What happens to Samuel? Criminal charges have been filed. Fraud, embezzlement, falsifying payroll records. He was arrested this morning. The room spun slightly. Arrested? Corporate theft on this scale is a felony. He's looking at significant prison time. Rebecca slid a document across the table. This is a check for your $60,000 bonus plus $20,000 in additional compensation for the distress and inconvenience you experienced. I stared at the check, unable to quite believe it was real. There's more, Jacob said. I'd like to offer you a position here at headquarters, senior account executive with a $15,000 salary increase and an enhanced commission structure. My mouth fell open. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a career. What you did took incredible integrity and courage. Those are exactly the qualities we need in our leadership pipeline. But I only had 2 successful sales. You also had the backbone to stand up to a corrupt supervisor and expose a major fraud. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Jacob smiled. Plus, those 2 sales were pretty impressive for someone with 0 experience. I think you're going to do very well here. I looked around the room at the faces watching me expectantly. 6 weeks ago, I'd been fired and desperate. Now I was being offered a better job at the company's headquarters. When would you want me to start? How about Monday? We'll arrange your relocation, help you find an apartment here in the city. Full corporate support. I thought about calling my mom with the news, about finally being able to pay my bills without stress, about having a real career path ahead of me. Yes, I said. Absolutely yes. My first week at headquarters was surreal. Instead of a tiny cubicle, I had an actual office with a window. Instead of worrying about making rent, I was learning about the company's expansion plans and discussing my role in them. The story of my confrontation with Samuel had spread through the company like wildfire. People knew who I was, knew what I'd done. Some looked at me with respect, others with curiosity. A few veteran employees came by my office to share their own stories of suspecting Samuel, but never having the courage to speak up. "You did what we should have done years ago," one senior rep told me. "We all knew something was off, but we were too scared to rock the boat." On Friday, Jacob called me into his office. "How are you settling in?" "It's amazing. Thank you again for this opportunity." "I have another opportunity for you. Next month, we're hosting our annual leadership conference. I'd like you to speak about your experience." My stomach fluttered. "What kind of speaking?" "Your story. Standing up for yourself, speaking truth to power, the importance of integrity in business. I think it would be incredibly powerful for our team to hear." "I'm not much of a public speaker." "Dorothy, you stood up in front of 500 people at that seminar and exposed a fraud. I think you'll be just fine." He was right. After everything I'd been through, a corporate presentation seemed manageable. "Okay," I said, "I'll do it." The leadership conference was held at a luxury resort outside the city. 200 of the company's top performers, managers, and executives gathered for 3 days of training and networking. I was scheduled to speak on the second day, right after lunch. My topic, integrity in action, why doing the right thing matters. Standing backstage, I thought about how much my life had changed in just a few months. 6 months ago, I was a college student with no real-world experience. 3 months ago, I was unemployed and desperate. Now I was about to address the company's leadership team. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dorothy Miller." I walked onto the stage to enthusiastic applause. In the front row, I spotted Jacob, smiling encouragingly. 3 months ago, I was fired for asking a simple question: where is my bonus? Today, I want to talk about why asking that question was the most important thing I've ever done. For the next 20 minutes, I told my story. Not as a victim, but as someone who learned that integrity isn't just about doing the right thing, it's about having the courage to speak up when others don't. The applause when I finished was thunderous. During the break, person after person came up to thank me, to share their own stories, to tell me how inspiring my speech had been. That evening at the dinner reception, Jacob pulled me aside. "That was exceptional, Dorothy. You have a real gift for connecting with people." "Thank you. It felt good to share the story on my own terms." "I have a question for you. How do you feel about mentoring?" "Mentoring?" "We're starting a program for young professionals who might face similar challenges. People who need someone in their corner, someone who understands what it's like to feel powerless in a corporate environment." I thought about my younger self, terrified and alone, not knowing how to navigate workplace politics or stand up for myself. "I'd love that." "Excellent. We'll start small, maybe 5 or 6 mentees, people who show promise but might need guidance on building confidence, asking the right questions, protecting themselves." 6 months later, my first mentoring group was thriving. I worked with young employees who'd been passed over for promotions, who felt intimidated by aggressive managers, who weren't sure how to advocate for themselves. One mentee, Sarah, reminded me of myself at 24. Brilliant but quiet, undervalued by her boss, afraid to speak up about unequal treatment. "I don't want to cause trouble," she told me during one of our sessions. "Sarah, asking for fair treatment isn't causing trouble. It's expecting basic respect." "But what if they fire me?" "Then you'll find a better job, but more likely they'll realize they need to treat you better." 3 weeks later, Sarah came to my office beaming. She'd successfully negotiated a promotion and a raise. "I kept thinking about what you said, that asking questions isn't greedy, it's professional." Moments like that made everything worthwhile. A year after my seminar Confrontation, I received an unexpected piece of mail at my office. A letter from the state correctional facility. It was from Samuel. "Dear Dorothy," it began, "I know I have no right to contact you, and I'll understand if you throw this letter away without reading it, but I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. I almost did throw it away. But curiosity won out. What I did to you was wrong. I was jealous of your success, intimidated by your potential. When you made that first sale, I felt like a failure in comparison. Instead of celebrating your achievement, I resented it. Taking your bonus wasn't about the money, it was about trying to diminish what you'd accomplished. He went on to explain how the theft had started small, with minor expense reimbursements, and gradually escalated, how he justified it by telling himself he deserved the money more than the employees he managed. I destroyed my career, my reputation, and my integrity because I couldn't handle someone else's success. That's on me, not you. You did the right thing by speaking up. I hope you can find it in yourself to forgive me someday, but I understand if you can't. I read the letter twice, then folded it and put it in my desk drawer. I felt empty, not angry, not satisfied, just sad that someone had thrown away so much over petty jealousy. I never wrote back, but I didn't throw the letter away either. Last week, Jacob called me into his office for our quarterly review. 2 years into my headquarters role, I'd exceeded every target, built a successful mentoring program, and established myself as one of the company's rising stars. Dorothy, I have something important to discuss with you. My performance review? Your future. I'm announcing my retirement next year. The board is already discussing succession planning. My heart skipped. Congratulations on your retirement. You've earned it. Thank you, but here's the thing. I've been watching you very carefully. Your integrity, your leadership potential, your ability to inspire others. The board has too. What are you saying? I'm saying that if you want it, and if you continue on your current trajectory, this company could be yours someday. Maybe not immediately, but within the next 5 to 10 years. I stared at him, speechless. You remind me of myself at your age, he continued. Hungry, principled, willing to take risks for what's right. Those are the qualities this company needs in its leadership. Walking out of his office, I thought about the scared 24-year-old who'd sat in that fancy restaurant 18 months ago, confused about a missing bonus. She never could have imagined this moment. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom. How did your review go? I typed back, I'll call you tonight. You're not going to believe this. It was never really about the $60,000. It was about knowing my worth and having the courage to demand it. And now, everyone else knew it too.